Thank you. Good evening. First of all, I want to say that I'm quite gratified and happy to see so many of you despite this very, very bad weather. I want to, of course, begin by thanking Mr. Dorian Best for proposing me to represent this constituency again in the upcoming election. This is now the 6th time that I have sought and obtained the nomination to represent the Barbados Labour Party in this constituency. And as I said on all those previous occasions, I say again today, thank you, and I accept your nomination. And I want to begin by saying that I am proud to know that I have been able to make a difference in the lives of a number of people in this constituency and in virtually every community across this constituency. If you look at this very school that we're in now today, this school was quite different in 1994 when it became the representative from what it is today. It had not been repaired or refurbished for 25 years. Even the windows were not opening or closing properly. The walls were cracked. There was hardly any fencing. The yard wasn't paved, which gave a lot of problems to those people who had asthma problems. And I made it my first order of business because I have a strong weakness for education and all things educational. And I made it my first order of business, and in the first 6 months I was able to get this school completely refurbished and upgraded. And I got the yard paved as well. So I am proud to stand here in Grazettes Primary School of all places today and accept your nomination. It's also gratifying to know that my fingerprints can be found all across this constituency. Whether it is in respect of the roads that were fixed in Well Gap, Cave Hill, or the playing field or the hard court in Reservoir Road, Lodge Hill, or new lights on the hard court and the playing field in Eden Lodge, or the speed humps in Claremont, street lights in Clearview Heights, or the over 600 scholarships that I got for a number of people, not only at the O-Level Institute, but at many other places of education across this country. Or in relation to the assisting people individually in a number of personal and meaningful ways, or in being involved in the churches, particularly I must admit at the Church of Christ the King, right, Father Jesus said, and that is very, very gratifying to me. So I am proud to know that I have been able to make a difference. But the truth is that it is not now for me only about politics in this constituency. It's gone beyond that now. It's gone to the point now where there is a bond, a special bond between myself and the constituents of St. Michael North. It is as if we have become a family, and that is a fact. Only Thursday night, we had a meeting at my constituency office to finalize the details and preparation for this meeting. And the committee members and the fundraising group, they always say I am miserable. They say I am confused without the D. They say I am confused with the D. They say I am confusing and all these things, which you know that I am none of. I am anything but that. But when you heard how they dismissed some of the suggestions that I put forward, it was as though some people would have said that it's like if you just get dragging from the yard, that's how you get treated so. But at the end of the day, there was no malice, no animosity, like family. And the same thing happens across this constituency when I visit households. Sometimes we argue strongly, but at the end of it all, there's no malice, no animosity. It's like a family. I've also been able to see a number of children in this constituency grow up right before my very eyes. I remember a girl, 7 years old. I would have called her name tonight, but I thought I was going to mention this, and she told me not to call her name. If not, I would have. But 7 years ago, she was 7 years old, sorry, in 1994 at Pastor Clark from Reservoir Road's Miracle Center at a Christmas concert. And she came and she asked me for my autograph. I was flattered, of course, and I wrote down a little something and so on. She was 7 years old. Now today, she is a nurse with 2 children. And I saw her grow up before my very, very eyes. And these things move you. It can almost become nostalgic. But I am one of the traditional men, so I do not become nostalgic and I do not cry. But these things can really, really at times move you in a very, very serious way. So I want you all to know that even if I wanted to, which I do not, even if I wanted to, I could not break this bond for the foreseeable future. So I will be around. Plus 2, I want to do more. I want to pick up from where I left off some 4.5 years ago in terms of getting things done for people and getting things done for areas and communities across this constituency. The last 4 years under this administration as an opposition MP have been like a nightmare. The government really made us know in no uncertain terms from very early that very little, if any help at all, was going to be forthcoming to any constituency with a Barbados Labour Party representative, certainly in this one. And there are 2 incidents that will forever resonate and remain in my mind. One was in around July 2008 when I made a call. In fact, I received a call from a lady who needed a house. And I have a policy. If you call me and you need a house, and you identify the house that is a house that is vacant, I decide, well, as you've taken the trouble to find a house and told me about it, that I will try to get that house for you. That has always been my policy. And she identified a house in Eden Lodge that was vacant. And I took up the phone and I called the then chairman of the National Housing Corporation. And I gave him the information. And as I was talking, putting forward my case, he just said, wait, Mr. Toppin, wait. You're wasting your time. I said, how you mean? He said, listen, the minister said everything got to go through him. I said, okay, maybe I can live with that. But this is an urgent case. This is one where the court had ordered the lady out of the house by a given time. There's not a case where she even wanted a house for herself and the children. It's not a wanting thing. The court had ordered her out. And I called the chairman. He told me, you're wasting your time. The minister said everything has to go through him. I said, but surely you can tell the minister that this is an urgent case. I've given you the facts. He said, no, you don't get the point. The minister has given me a list to work with. And those names, to she and another girl, that you have just given me are not on this list. And no names you give me are going to get on this list. And I will never ever forget that conversation. The second incident that I recall was when I went to a very high-ranking official in the Ministry of Public Works. Very, very high. During the elections, when I speak in Capehill, I will call his name and you will be shocked at who it is. But it was the end of 2008 when rain had fallen very, very strongly and had damaged the Gap Road, which is the main artery. And I went in October to this individual and I said, well, I need the road in Gap fixed. I said, I'm aware that it just happened, so you will not have had any money to fix it in this current financial year, but please put some money in your estimates for the next year to fix the road. He looked me straight in the face and the eyes and he asked me, you realize that the government changed? And I said, yes, the government changed, but the people ain't changed. It's still the same people. He then repeated what he said, and I repeated what I said. And he said, well, listen, when the BLP get back in, you could fix it. Simple and straightforward. And those 2 incidents I have never ever forgotten. But I certainly will elaborate on the one of Gap more fully during the course of the election. So I understood from very, very early in my life as an opposition MP what I was up against. But it is not supposed to be like that. It is not supposed to be. And that is why I now want to get into politics and ask you all to ensure that you work hard with us in the party to ensure that we see the back of the Democratic Labour Party. But we cannot take anything for granted. Now you see the poll, and the poll is favorable to us. But polls do not vote. Polls do not vote. We have a lot of very, very hard work to do. But the fact of the matter is that Barbadians can feel truly justified in saying that they have been unfeared in the last 4.5 years. Never has the government promised so much and delivered so little. Never has the government showed such scant regard for the interests of Barbadians as a whole. And I want to look at a few areas tonight with you to see exactly how this government has operated with the people of Barbados over the course of the last 4.5 years. Let's look first at the tenants in these National Housing Corporations units. Now, they were promised by the Democratic Labour Party, if you voted for the DLP, you were going to get your units turned over to you. Now, they said free at first. Then after elections, they said that anybody who said that they promised that it would be done free did not understand what they were saying. Because what they meant is that over the course of 20 years, you would already have paid the cost of the unit, and therefore it should be turned over to you. Now, I don't know what they meant by turned over to you, because I have not found anybody in St.Michael North yet who has a title deed to any of these units. They have letters, and that is all. But if they want to be consistent with the issue of saying that they're turning over to you if you have paid, because you have paid the cost of the unit, then it is a straight mathematical calculation. And my math tells me that in relation to Grazettes housing area here, everybody, given the cost of those units, everybody who has been living in a Grazettes unit for 3 3/4 years has already paid the cost of the unit. So why aren't there many people living there for far less than 20 years not being given the chance as well to purchase the units? The same math also tells me that in relation to Eden Lodge, everyone living in a unit in Eden Lodge for around 6 1/4 years has already paid the cost of the unit in Eden Lodge. So why are all of these people not being given the chance as well to purchase the units? Why are they being discriminated against? But that, in case you might think that is not the main issue. But the next issue, the shameful, disgraceful issue which me will, I'm sure, elaborate on, relates to the fact that before this government changed, a program was in place whereby people had already started to pay towards buying the units. Now, the Democratic Labour Party came into office and said they're going to turn the units over to you because you already paid the cost and ready free. That's what they were saying. But there were a number of people who had paid large sums of money, in some cases $30,000 to $40,000. And what this disgraceful government did is that they confiscated these sums of money that were paid by people before the government changed, under the guise of it being legal fees. Now, there's no legal fee that could come to $30,000 to $40,000 for anybody to get a unit, to get legal work done, to have a unit transferred into their names in these housing estates. So this, as I have said in Parliament, is highway robbery. It is highway robbery. And those people who have been robbed have to be refunded. And I am pleased to repeat tonight, as Mayor has done already in Parliament, and say that all of those persons who paid money under the Barbados Labour Party administration and from whom it was taken surreptitiously by the Democratic Labour Party since the change of government, all of them will be refunded fully the amount of money that they paid. We have to ensure that people get their money back. But it's not only those people that we have to help. We also have to help some 35,000 people who have invested money in CLICO and who now are hanging in limbo not knowing what is going to happen to their money. I have in the audience tonight my very father, who had money at Clico, who ain't get back yet. And many of you also have relatives and good friends in the same position. But one example in this very same constituency again stands out in my mind. Because I was canvassing one evening in a certain area, and the issue of Clico and monies invested at Clico was brought up. And I made the statement, which was true, that I really had planned to put a not insignificant sum of money in Clico. I said, but God probably intervened and stopped me. And when I called the amount that I was going to put in, the husband and wife I was speaking to said, but if that is all that we had put in and stood to lose, we could perhaps feel a lot better than we feel right now. They had put in $750,000, including 2 pensioners, including their gratuities. And now check the sequence though. After they had put in their gratuities, sometime afterwards, the story broke that problems were starting to develop with Clico in Trinidad. And they said that when the late Prime Minister David Thompson went public and said all was well, fear not, she, the wife, then took $375,000, being the sale of a house that she inherited from her deceased mother in a will. It was sold, and she took that $375,000, relying on the assurance by David Thompson that all was well, and put it into Clico. And now both of them stand now to lose every single thing. And it does not seem to matter to Frandl Stewart nor Chris Sinclair. Frandl Stewart, for them it is a big joke. You know, Stewart would not even read the report from the judicial manager. He said that it was leaked. In fact, he even said that it was stolen, as if even if it were true that it was stolen, that would change the content. But he's not reading it, so he's just fooling around. And Chris Sinclair, in similar vein, he just likes to mess around with the truth. That is his forte. That is where he belongs. And he likes to be at variance with the truth. In other words, he's a liar. That's the truth. And he just came in one of his lying pronouncements. Many have come. And made the statement earlier this year that all of his people were going to be prepared by June this year. You know? By June. This is now September. Well, I can say October. And not one of them ain't get back a cent yet. So they couldn't be bothered, but we assure you again that fixing that Clico problem is also going to be one of the first orders of business of a Barbados Labour Party administration. People have also been unfair in relation to the cost of living. Now, it was supposed to be priorities number 1, 2, and 3, right? Now you know that everything has gone up except your money. Everything gone up except the money that you get. Telephone gone up. Electricity gone up, and that's the real killer. Gas gone up, both in the bottle and at the pump. Diesel gone up, and water gone up. And the water is a disgraceful one. Because you remember that in the early 1990s, the Democratic Labour Party had given a commitment to the IADB that was going to increase water rates, quote, as often as necessary. They gave IADB that commitment in the early 1990s. When we came to the government in 1994, we reversed that. Now they came back into power in 2008 and they reversed what we reversed and gone back to the position where they have now increased water rates. You know what make it very bad and disgraceful? A Fair Trading Commission was set up to review all applications for increases in rates by any utility company, especially monopolies. Now, all they had to do was to make a simple order to amend the legislation to bring the Barbados Water Authority under the Fair Trading Commission's jurisdiction. The Democratic Labour Party decided that rather than do that, they were first going to go and increase the water rates and then afterwards come to Parliament with the amendment to allow the Barbados Water Authority to be regulated by the Fair Trading Commission. So the dog was already dead. The horse had already bolted by the time they came to Parliament. And I remember in Parliament saying to David Thompson, I said, this is putting the cart before the horse. And he told me, well, if you want to say that, you can say that. And to a man, everyone in the Democratic Labour Party endorsed the decision to increase water rates without going to the Fair Trading Commission by some 60% on the backs of people. So now the cost of living in Barbados is actually murder. When you add on top of that now that your taxes, you're being taxed now like if you're being taxed into oblivion. Started in 2008 July. First budget of David Thompson, the DLP, $110 million in taxes were put on the people of Barbados. Then they increased VAT, and then they decided to tax your allowances under the pretext that, or the belief that you can tax your way out of recession, when all that does is to make it worse. But the truth is, as you know, every time the Democratic Labour Party gets its hands on this economy, they mash it up. They mash it up. And I couldn't conclude without saying, talking about wrecking an economy and a sector, I still want to say a little something in my last paragraph or so about tourism. Now, Ian spoke extensively, but I'm going to hit it from perhaps a different angle. Because our tourism is getting worse and worse every single day. We have declines now in Barbados in arrivals from since the 1st of April this year. From 1st April this year, every single month, there has been a decline in tourist arrivals, long-stay arrivals coming into Barbados. Even in August, this is the time, the month you have your major cultural festival in Barbados. Then you should expect an increase, and you almost always do. They were able to record a 13% decline in arrivals for the month of August this year. Mike. Thank you. Even in August, as at September 21st, every single major market is in decline. Every single major market, without exception, is in decline. But the most startling statistic I want to share with you on our performance, because I like to talk about international recession, is that as at September 20th, this is this very month, very, very current, of the 24 countries in the region that report to the Caribbean Tourism Organization, 24, Barbados is in 22nd position. We are 3 from the bottom. But that's not all. Because at a time when we are declining, there are 18 of those 24 countries that are showing growth. Countries that never ever before in history outperformed Barbados are not only now outperforming Barbados, but they are growing at a time when we are declining. So something is fundamentally wrong. Cruise tourism is the same story. Last year, there was a 10% jump in cruising worldwide, 10% increase. But Barbados recorded a 6.9% decrease in the number of cruise passengers that came to Barbados. So this is madness. And it's because there is no leadership in this country, and there is certainly no leadership in the tourism sector. You have a Minister of Tourism and a Chairman of the Barbados Tourism Authority who show no leadership. They are quite frankly just out of their depth in tourism. And as a result of this lack of leadership, you are seeing one crazy decision after another. And I'm just going to give you 3 of those crazy decisions that have been inflicted on this country. The first one is the Gol airline out of Brazil. Now this is an airline where, without properly preparing for it, by that I mean without properly generating any demand in Brazil for Barbados, or without generating any demand in Barbados for Brazil, because it got both ways to sustain the carrier. Without doing any of those, they decided to launch hastily into the service. I guess Richard Seeley wanted to have it said that he had broken new ground. But who but a political lunatic would have decided to guarantee 75% load factor in a carrier? So if the carrier brings one passenger, it's going to be paid as if 75% of the seats were occupied. That's what they did. And it's translated into approximately $250,000 a week to Barbadians. And that's a fact. $250,000 a week now that Barbadians must pay to sustain this service, just to say that they have a service. Now that is, and it's gotten so bad now that they're not even paying the carrier. So the carrier now wants to pull out, but it can't. The government is saying it's a whole dichotomy, whole set of quarreling now about we are under contractual obligations, but we are bound now to sustain a carrier that is bringing 35 and 40 people a week on a plane that seats 200. That's the first crazy act. The second crazy act has been announced, and that is now to build 2 additional cruise piers at a cost of $300 million. And don't fool yourself, ultimately we got to pay that. Ultimately we are going to have to pay that. $300 million at a time when your ship calls are down. Now, there was a time when I myself was making the statement back in the late 1990s that you were going to build an additional cruise pier. That's the time when we were getting 600 and 700 cargo ships a year and 700 cruise ships. Now, if we just look at the period between 2007 and 2011, cargo vessels are down from 660 something or so to 400 and something, 500. So the cruise vessels numbers are declining. The cargo vessels are declining. Same story for cruise, coming down from 400 and something to 300 and something. Why are you going to expand capacity and build more berths to accommodate more ships? If we're getting less ships, why are you going to build more piers for $300,000? So that is the second crazy decision. And the third one now relates to one that is not yet announced, but it's a very recent decision by the Barbados Tourism Authority, and this is being led by the chairman again, to utilize Rihanna in what they're calling a social media awareness campaign for 4 months at a cost of $1.5 million. Now, I don't have to believe that Rihanna can do miracles. I don't have to feel she can do miracles. Because all that is being done here is that a tape is being prepared which shows Rihanna and various places in Barbados. That is all to it, That is all. There is nothing else at all locked into that program. There is no provision for bookings to be made. There is no mention of tour operators, hotels on the island, airlines that service the destination. There is no, what the industry calls, there is no call to action. And in effect, it means that no definite arrangements can be made by any tourism player in Barbados to benefit from this strictly awareness program. Now, the time we get into awareness programs, we ain't trying to let people know that you exist. That is all. You have an awareness program primarily to let people know that you exist in markets that people are not likely to know about you. But this is primarily targeting the United States and Canada, where Barbados is already known to exist. So you have to then be able to have what they call a call to action so that all of the players involved stand to benefit, and ultimately Barbados as a whole. But they have decided to go ahead with this program, which cannot bring any short or medium term benefits to Barbados, and can only work if, as I said, Rihanna can in fact perform miracles. Now, the Barbados Hotel is not me only. The Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association has already let it be known that they do not agree with the program, but the chairman, when they recently met, told them this is a done deal, very, very sorry. So despite their protestations, they have been overruled. Now that is $1.5 million. You would think that a cash-strapped Barbados Tourism Authority would decide that when it raises money, it will spend it wisely and not whimsically. Because the BTA right now is in serious debt. It is being deprived of funds by the government and is currently indebted to creditors to the tune of some $42 million. It is almost literally now running from bailiffs around the world. But it is yet still now saying that it intends to get $1.5 million to pay Rihanna to do a miracle. You know? So a lot is at stake when I talk about these crazy decisions. You must never believe that when we talk about tourism, that we're talking about something abstract, you know, and that it does not relate to you. Because when we talk about tourism and the lack of proper decision making, we're talking about taxi men. Taxi men rely on tourists to come to generate revenue for them to feed themselves and their families. So when you have bad decisions and a sector is collapsing and it's tourism, remember who collapsing with it. Small people, taxi drivers. You have people who own restaurants who stand to fold up. People work in these restaurants. People work in hotels. And these people are already on 1 and 2 day weeks, struggling to hold on. Hoteliers telling you, Ian could tell you, they don't know how much longer they can hold on at the present rate of employment when the sector is not being properly addressed at the policy level by the government. But it all goes back to what I said, that whenever the Democratic Labour Party gets its hands on this economy, they just wreck it without caring an iota. But we are prepared to fix it once again. I am not standing here telling you that it's going to be an easy job, or that when you vote for the Barbados Labour Party in the next elections, that you vote first today and the problem will be solved tomorrow. The Democratic Labour Party has dug too deep a hole for us to pull you out of it overnight. But the best hands have to be put to the plow. And those hands are the hands of Owen Seymour Arthur and his team. I am honored today that you have given me the opportunity to be in that team. And now I end by asking you to give the team that you made me a part of the opportunity to once again lead the country, to give this country its best chance of seeing glory days and days of prosperity once again. I thank you.